Hello. We'll call to order the meeting of the Board of Directors of the Park Central Community Facilities District. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Board Member Ansari.
Here.
Board Member Conlon. Here. Board Member DeCiccio.
Here.
Board Member Garcia.
Here.
Board Member Gervais. Board Member Guardado.
Here.
Board Member O'Brien.
Here.
Board Member Stark.
Here.
Board Member Waring.
Here.
Vice Chair Pastor.
Here.
Chairwoman Gallego.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the district's board's June 2nd, 2021 meeting?
So moved.
There's a second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Nay. Passes unanimously. We next move to agenda item number 4. Now is the time and place set for the public hearing of the district's proposed budget for fiscal year 2022-23 and the proposed 5-year financial plan for the district. Is there anyone present who wishes to provide comment on the proposed budget or the proposed financial plan? The public hearing is now concluded. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number PC-14 for the final district budget for the fiscal year 22-23 and final 5-year financial plan for the district?
So moved.
Move to.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
Conlon.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 10-0.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Board Member Conlon, for your service. The meeting is now adjourned. We now welcome you to the July 1st formal meeting of the Phoenix City Council. We'll begin with a moment of silence. Thank you, and I would now ask everyone to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge We'll now call the formal council meeting to order. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Councilwoman Ansari.
Here.
Councilman DeCiccio.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilwoman Guardado.
Here.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Here.
Councilwoman Stark.
Here.
Councilman Waring.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pastor.
Here.
Mayor Gallego.
Here. We have interpreters here with us to provide Spanish translation. Mario, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Hello, my name is Mario Barajas, and together with my colleague Carmen Cota, we will be serving as today's Spanish interpreters. I'll now take a moment to introduce ourselves to our Spanish-speaking audience. Hola, buenos días. Bienvenidos a la reunión municipal del ayuntamiento. Mi nombre es Mario Barajas y junto con mi colega Carmen Cota estaremos sirviéndoles como intérpretes a los de habla hispana. Deseamos pedirles de antemano, si es que van a dar un comentario público, por favor hable despacio, con claridad y evite tener distracciones de fondo. Finalmente, pause después de cada una o dos oraciones para que les podamos interpretar lo que esté diciendo de la manera más completa posible. Muchas gracias. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Will the city clerk please read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G6991 through 6993 and 6996 through 7007, S48825 through 48900, and resolutions 22030 and 22037 through 22048.
Thank you. I'll now turn to our city attorney to explain the role of public comment in Phoenix council meetings.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on agenda items to be discussed. Comments must be related to the agenda item and the action being considered by the council. General comments that go beyond the scope of the agenda item must be made in the citizen comment session at the end of the agenda. The City Council and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to pending investigations, claims, or litigation. The City Code requires speakers to present their comments in a respectful and courteous manner. Profane language, threats, or personal attacks on members of the public, council members, or staff are not allowed. A person who violates these rules will lose their opportunity to continue to speak.
Thank you so much. We next go to agenda item 1, Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mayor. I'm going to make 2 separate motions. Motion to approve mayor and council, city council boards and commissions with the exception of Parks and Recs Board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye. I would like to make a motion for the Parks and Rec Board Commission to be considered or to continue in September.
Do you have a date?
To the next meeting, September. Our next
September
council
7th is the city's clerk's suggestion.
September 7th. Okay, to September 7th.
7th.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'll be opposing this.
I will as well. We have had some real challenges in our Phoenix parks recently. We had a very difficult shooting at Perry Park. We had a very difficult incident at Lindo Park where a young person was impacted, and so I am eager to have a full Parks Board. So I will be opposing
Mayor.
this as well.
Mayor, don't we need a second to have a discussion?
I believe Councilmember Garcia has seconded.
Okay, I didn't hear him, so.
Mayor.
And I'm sorry, who was that? Councilwoman Stark.
Deborah,
Okay,
I'm
Councilwoman
sorry.
Stark, please.
I will be opposing it as well.
So Mayor, can I please explain why I did what I did?
Please.
So there was an incident that happened last Thursday without notifying that board member coming in and sitting at, that participates on the Park and Rec Board, has an excellent record of attendance, and was informed at that moment that they no longer were sitting on the board. I feel, and it has nothing to do with who is being presented. It has to do with adding clarity in the process of how we inform constituents and people that participate on our boards and in notifying them. So that's why I was asking for a continuance.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We did provide written notification to that board member. Is it your preference that we call as well?
My preference is that you notify the board member way in advance of knowing that they're going to be replaced.
Wonderful. And what is the time frame that you suggest?
Not the day of. Why don't you? I suggest a month.
Wonderful. And will you commit to doing that for all your Village Planning Commission appointments?
I commit to whatever the city council process is. So if we need to write a process or procedure and notifying anybody on our boards and commissions, I have no problem with that.
This would be a very different change from how we've done things in the past. All right, any additional discussion? All those in favor
Mayor?
of Councilman DeCiccio?
Oh, just really quick. In all due respect to the Vice Mayor, I handle things, when I do my village, there are times where if I don't think that they're doing the job that I want them to do or acting as a voice that I believe to be, I've been known to get rid of people within a week's time. So I can't do a month just because, I think it keeps the whole system honest that people are always aware that some things that they may do or say or could be problematic for the city. So I'm happy with the system the way it is right now, where we handle things by our own district and we're responsible to the public that has elected us. So I'm good with that. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor?
Vice Mayor?
So I'm not asking, the question posed to me was what was the timeline? So we can all commit to 2 weeks, a week. I just think the process needs to be, regardless if it's in the city council office or in the mayor's office, we need to be consistent in notifying our constituents. That's all I'm asking.
Wonderful. We have many council members who have done things differently. We, in fact, did receive an add-on from your office with less than a month notice for this council packet, and we're happy to try to move forward even though that had missed the deadline. So I think the way we have been doing it has worked well for me.
Mayor,
Vice
can
Mayor.
I say something?
Yes.
So I think you have the authority, and I'm not talking about anything else. You have the authority to appoint people. You have the ability to do that. However, we are the voting body that then votes for it. So that's all I'm saying.
Wonderful. And I do my best to communicate with folks, but did want to point out that many members of this body have done add-ons with very late notice. Vice Mayor, or Councilman Waring.
Thank you, Mayor. So I assume it's okay to be talking like this because I think what's on the floor is the continuance. So all I would like to say in responding to what's been said already, the previous person, it sounds like, is off. I don't know what happened there. The timing isn't mine. I don't know the person. It seems like the only person who's being punished if we continue it is the current applicant or proposed nominee, who we all know well, who could not possibly be more qualified. It also sounds like we need somebody to fill that spot and get in there and start voting. So I'm not sure I could possibly support a continuance. I don't know how it makes sense in this context. So, I mean, we can talk about, I'm open to talking about the process later, but that doesn't affect what's sitting in front of us right this second in any way, shape, or form, unless I've missed something. Have I missed something? No? Okay. Well, thank you.
All right. We'll move forward with a roll call vote on the continuance.
Ansari?
Yes.
DeCiccio?
No.
Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
No.
Stark?
No.
Waring?
No.
Pastor?
Yes.
Gallego?
No.
Fails 4-5.
Although, do we have a motion?
I move to.
Mayor,
I move to approve the Parks and Recs Board.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed, please say nay. Passes unanimously. Thank you to everyone who is about to serve on our commissions, and thank you to those whose terms have concluded. We've had great folks who've served the city and provided a diversity of important opinions, so we appreciate their service as well. We next move to the liquor license portion of our agenda. The City of Phoenix provides an advisory role to the state of Arizona on liquor license. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve items 2 through 48, except item 48, noting that items 21 and 30 through 47 are as revised.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Vice Mayor.
Item
48.
48.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, Councilwoman Stark.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to hear from the applicant and from the previous owner. Are they there to speak?
Yes.
I think it's very compelling that we hear from the gentleman that's selling the restaurant. He and his wife survived COVID, and they went through a very, very difficult time. So I think I would like to hear from him.
Good morning, City Council members and Mayor Gallego. My name is Joe Aiello, and I'm the former owner of Aiello's on 7th Street in Thunderbird. I was there in business for close to 15 years, and in New York City for quite a while, too. I sold my business this May, early part of May. I operated successfully there for 13 years, and we closed on a deal in May, and then a few days later, we were told that we had a tax lien. We were working diligently with the state earlier, before the closing, and after, to see if we could make arrangements. I'm owed monies by the new owners, which would satisfy the money I owe to the state for taxes. I want to make that deal. I don't want any money from anybody. I want to pay my debt. And I think we ran out of time, so I'm looking for the council to possibly give us more time. I'm not asking for a lot of time, or maybe if you wouldn't mind approving it, knowing that I'll be with the Department of Revenue, making an arrangement to pay the debt that I owe. Okay, and I'm not saying I don't. What am I going to tell you? Other than that, I just want to see we work out the details, we make the payments. Rather than the payments come to me, they can go straight to the Department of Revenue, and we can move on. The people that bought the place can continue to have a wonderful, wonderful place and continue to contribute to the community and collect the taxes for the Revenue Department. They're happy, I'm happy, everybody's happy. I just need a week or so, that's all. Maybe, if you don't decide to just let it go right now. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all. Thank you again, and I hope you see it my way. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, Mayor. I have visited that restaurant many a time, and it was just a sad state of affairs what happened to his family. I'm glad he survived COVID. I'd like to move with no recommendation.
Thank you. We have a motion for a no recommendation. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and Mr. Aiello, hopefully this gives you the additional time to that as you proposed. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes, and just a quick comment. I wish the best for this gentleman here. I mean, it's been a hard thing for a lot of people. And for him him to have gone through this, his beautiful story, and to be as gracious as he is. I hope he gets it, quite frankly. Thank you, Mayor.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. City Clerk, are we ready for ordinances, resolutions, new business, planning, and zoning?
Yes, Mayor.
Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve items 49 through 175, except the following. Items 61, 62, 80, 85, 89, 90, 93, 97, 98, 103, 106, 112, 113, 119, 120, 127, 128, and 163 through 171, noting that item 89 is as corrected. Items 166 and 167 are as revised. Item 171 is as revised. Items 172 through 175 were add-ons. Actually, 172 through 175 were add-ons. And excluding these items for virtual public comment, items 114 and 167. And can the clerk confirm if there are any other items that should be excluded for in-person public comment?
Yes, Mayor and Vice Mayor, also excluding item 144.
Oh, I didn't have that one. Okay, 144.
I second. Good job, Vice Mayor.
Any corrections or comments? Roll call.
Ansari,
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor, Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. We next move to item 61, the public hearing on the adoption of the property tax levy for 2022-23 fiscal year. We'll open the public hearing. We do not have any residents here for public comment, so we will close the public hearing. Item 62 is the adoption of the property tax levy for the 22-23 fiscal year. Do we have a motion?
Item 62.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comment? Roll call.
Ansari,
Yes.
DeCiccio,
No, but I'd like to also give a quick comment, if I could,
Please
to
do.
The city manager. Oh, thank you, Mayor. Just to the city manager and his entire staff. This is the end of the year, and I probably should have done it near one of the beginnings. They've just done an amazing job. I think the city staff now is, it's excellent. I think they've done an excellent job. A lot of the department heads, your deputy directors have done a great job. And Jeff, I just cannot be more impressed with how you're handling things at the city and what you've done for the city and what you've done for the public. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
No.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
No.
Pastor,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 6-3.
We next go to item 80, good news item, amend Personnel Rule 15, Parental Leave. Do we have a motion?
Item 80.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I will turn to Councilwoman Guardado, followed by Councilwoman Ansari, followed by Councilman O'Brien for comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Since coming onto this council 3 years ago, I have been proud to be part of the movement to expand the pay and benefits for our city employees. This item will grant 12 weeks of paid leave for the birth, adoption, or foster care placement of a child to a full-time City of Phoenix employees. As a mother of 2 young boys, I know the importance of giving our employees time to bond with their new children. I just want to finish by saying that as of today, over 75% of American workers do not have access to paid parental leave. This is a national disgrace. Spending time with your new child without losing your income should be a right for all working people in this country. I am proud to support this item today, and I am hopeful that we will see this benefit expanded to all workers throughout the United States someday soon. Thank you to our staff. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you so much, Lori, for all of your guys' hard work. And I will be proud to be able to support this item today. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Well said. Councilwoman Ansari.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also extremely excited about this policy. I think it's long past due. And as Councilwoman Guardado said, I think in 2022, this should be the standard practice of any employer. We are one of the only countries in the world that does not require at least 12 weeks of paid leave. In many countries, it's even more. So very excited to support this. I also want to recognize that it's especially fitting that we have this policy now, given that reproductive rights are under attack as well. And we need to be doing everything in our power to protect Phoenicians' ability to continue to make their own family planning decisions. Thank you.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. Almost 27 years ago, we were very excited in the O'Brien household that my husband was able to receive 2 weeks of parental leave. I worked for a company who had none. So to be here today, to vote on this is very exciting, and I'm happy for our folks that are employees. Early childhood bonding with parents has been scientifically proven to foster a sense of security, positive self-esteem, something we certainly need today, and affects how they will interact, communicate, and form relationships later in life. Happy to see Phoenix stepping into a benefit which other companies are starting to offer, because certainly after the pandemic and the Great Resignation, we are all hurting for additional workforce, and the available workforce is demanding more from their future employers. Much like the raise we just gave our officers 2 weeks ago, if we hope to remain competitive and at the top of our game, benefits like this are crucial. Thank you, City Manager Jeff Barton and Assistant City Manager Lori Bays, for working so hard to get this implemented. Appreciate the hard work.
Thank you. Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm fully supportive of this, and given maybe a little bit different angle than Councilwoman Ansari with the recent court ruling, for those of us on the pro-life side, we really need to start evaluating how and what type of programs we're going to be supporting going forward. And if we're going to be seeing more adoption, more foster care, then we've got to be stepping it up ourselves too. So I'm fully supportive of this. And again, I think it should cause a reevaluation for a lot of individuals to start thinking about how we support families and what we need to do to, basically step up to the plate as they're stepping up to the plate, adopting and taking in foster children. We need to be thinking of how we step up to the plate to help them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any additional comments? I am looking forward to supporting this as well. It's a very important day for our City of Phoenix employees. Our parental leave program will have 480 hours, or the equivalent of 12 weeks. It's the latest in a series of steps that the City Council has taken to make sure we are a more competitive employer and an employer of choice for the very best talent. We've been recognized as one of the best places to work, and we want to continue to be that way. It's also a proud moment for me as a mom and as a member of this body. When I was first elected, I worked on an equal pay group at the City of Phoenix trying to move forward towards pay equity, and we tried at that time to invest in parental leave at this level, and it has taken quite a long time to figure out how we can pay for this generous benefit financially. So I want to recognize Lori Bays, Jeff Barton, the Human Resources, and everyone who moved us forward to today. It took a lot of work to get here, and that is not always visible, but it is an exciting day for the City of Phoenix, and particularly for our parents. May this lead to healthier, happy babies. Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to echo a lot of what my colleagues said. Really grateful that this is happening as a parent. I know how much this is needed, and I hope we continue the work beyond this to look into childcare options for our employees and eventually at some point housing as well. And so I think these are exactly the ways that we retain folks, that we get folks to want to come back to work to Phoenix. Yes, continue to work on raises and pay as well, but we need to make sure that we're taking care of folks, with everything else that's going on with their lives. So I'll definitely be voting yes.
Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Congratulations, everyone. Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next move to 85, Gila River Indian Community Gaming Grants. Do we have a motion?
I have a motion moving item 85. I believe Councilman Waring has a conflict.
I do. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is a very exciting partnership. We really appreciate what the Gila River Indian community is doing in Phoenix, and many of these investments impact our entire state. Among the exciting investments include support for our mobile career unit, which will help people have job recruitment and workforce development services in their community. Also, support for the Electric Vehicle Outreach and Education Program, the Humane Society, Creighton Community, and so much more. So we appreciate this partnership. Any council comments? Roll call.
Mayor?
Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, want to thank the Gila River Nation for all the partnerships that they've done with us in the past. They've been an incredible partner to us. But not only that, they've been an incredible steward of their land and a steward of our water. They've been with us when it came to water policy and trying to find ways to preserve water and ways to protect our communities. So I am incredibly grateful. And it also shows you what happens with gaming, and a lot of people were critical of it, but look at the millions of dollars. I think we're about $4 million that are going to be going to programs because of what gaming has done and the way it was structured. I think it's been an incredible partnership, and we're very grateful for their generosity. Thank you, Mayor, and I'm going to be a strong yes.
Thank you, Councilman DeCiccio. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Pastor. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
We next move to 89, ARPA Phoenix Resilient Food Systems second tranche. Do we have a motion?
I move item
Motion to approve,
89.
Mayor. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
We have a
Second,
motion,
sorry.
and I'm sorry, did we have
The
a second?
A second, yeah, second.
We have a second
That's
from
what I meant to
Councilman
do.
DeCiccio, and I'll recognize him for comments.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is going to Homeward Bound and CPLC for their tremendous work that they do in our community. Again, this is another partnership that has been incredible to the City of Phoenix. They've been with us on so many things. Homeward Bound is getting approximately $12,000, and CPLC is getting $5,000 in order to help them with their youth program, and Homeward Bound for multiple programs. They just do incredible work. They're literally the angels from God the work that they do that others would not do. And they do it in our community, and they do it with a smile, and they do it happily. And I'm strongly supporting this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Robert Ragosa with Homeward Bound is online and available to speak if necessary. He is in support of this item. Does anyone have questions? Any additional comments? Roll call.
Ansari,
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Woohoo! Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next go to item 90, operating funds for Phoenix Starfish Place. Do we have a motion?
I move item 90.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment to thank our Housing Department for bringing this item forward today. I also want to thank the team of Starfish Place for the incredible work they do and the difference they are making in our community. And I am going to be happy to be able to support this item today. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Additional comments? Councilmember, no? Okay. And this one is meaningful as well. Want to thank Councilman Waring, who leads our human trafficking task force established by Greg Stanton during his time as mayor. The Department of Justice has identified Phoenix as one of the top human trafficking jurisdictions in the country, and it's facilities like Starfish Place that help find security, peace of mind to victims and their family. It's been a major resource in successful outcomes, and looking forward to supporting this item. Roll call.
Ansari,
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring.
Mayor, to quickly explain my vote, thank you for the kind words. Really proud of the work the committee has done, and I think this has been a point of pride for Phoenix, and rightfully so. Thank you, and I vote yes.
Pastor. I apologize, Pastor.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, thank you. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next move to 93, contract with Community Bridges for American Rescue Plan Homeless Services. Do we have a motion?
Move item 93.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll turn to Councilwoman Ansari for comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to just highlight the latest count of unsheltered individuals near the Human Services campus and recognize that I'm encouraged to see that we are on a downward trend. The latest count shows us at 806 individuals, down from over 1,000 just a couple of months ago. And I think that's very much thanks to our investments in places like Respiro and the 28th Street and Washington shelter in District 8. We are getting the numbers every day, and we know that most of our shelters and the cooling centers that Phoenix has invested in are at near capacity. So another shelter, and especially bridge housing, is absolutely needed. We know that oftentimes residents who receive housing vouchers have nowhere to go until they find an apartment or a home that actually accepts them. So this hotel will help to fill that gap, and I hope that we'll do many more projects like this one. And happy to support this, and want to thank city staff who have been working on this. I know we are constantly continuing to look for more properties and more land that we can continue to make a dent in the issue of housing and homelessness in the city of Phoenix. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Roll call.
Ansari,
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Keep it going. Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next go to 97, Clean Public Facility and School Improvement Upgrades Program Recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Guardado, would you like to make the motion? Okay.
Sure.
I move item 97. It's a different
Second.
item. Sorry.
Wait, so did we get a second?
Yes, I did a second.
Perfect. We have a motion and a second. I'll turn to Councilwoman Guardado.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, earlier this year, I met with superintendents of all the school districts in our council district. We discussed all the different ways schools could connect to city grants that were coming through with the federal funds in the American Rescue Plan Act. I am so glad to see the work Washington Elementary School District put into their application, and I'm proud to support this grant for $4.5 million. These funds will be a huge benefit to the students, teachers, and staff that work at the 4 recipient schools, all within District 5. Thank you to Superintendent Paul Stanton and his team at Washington, as well as all of the staff in neighborhood services who made this happen. I am excited to support this item. I know the hard work that they are all doing, and we've heard a lot of the conversations of the struggles that the teachers have in these schools and all the work that they've done, at least since I've been in office, to make it better for our students and for the teachers. So very happy to be able to support the item. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to also congratulate Washington Elementary School District, Councilwoman Guardado, and I get to share them as a district, and also congratulate Superintendent Paul Stanton, as well as Councilwoman Guardado, that these schools will receive these funds and have their HVAC systems improved so that those students are breathing fresh air. I know it was very rough during the pandemic for all the outfitting to change things. So congratulations to them and to you, Councilwoman Guardado. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next go to 98 fiscal year 22-23 community arts support grant allocations. Do we have a motion?
Move item 98.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any council comments? Councilwoman Guardado.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I just wanted to make a couple comments on this item. I am continually concerned that our funding of the arts is not equitable, reaching all residents and neighborhoods in our city. As everyone knows, Maryvale is one of the youngest villages in the city of Phoenix. Almost 40 to 50% of the people that live in Maryvale are under the age of 18. So there's definitely a huge need in the West Side for an arts program. This has been my consistent critique of our arts funding in this day after 3 years in office. I have seen very little movement to address this gap in equity. Our support for the arts should not be reserved for our downtown or central city. All Phoenix communities should be given access to experience and appreciate the arts. It is the job of our Arts and Cultural Department to ensure there is equity in our funding so that this becomes a reality. I will be voting against this item and any future arts items that continue to lack fair distribution of our city resources. We keep hearing about different programs that will be done in District 5 and out in the West Side, and we see no timelines on them. We've been talking about some of these projects for a very long time, and once there's not a timeline for some of the projects out in the West Side, I cannot continue to support these items. I'm a big fan of art, and I believe that art should be distributed throughout our whole city. Today here we have some of our students in Maryvale, and they could definitely talk about how much they support art and how they wish they had some of these programmings out in the West Side. So today I will be voting against the item. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I think we have to continue to work to make sure all of our city has the same investments. There certainly is a concentration of arts organizations in our core, and I think in part because of your effective advocacy, the arts and Culture Office has done some important steps that I want to recognize while acknowledging we still have more work to do. But we did open up the application to in the entire grants portal in Spanish, which was new, and so we had outreach in Spanish again to try to make sure we can have more members of our community available. We also opened up the process to small LLCs where the traditional nonprofit structure didn't work as well, and that allowed arts businesses and community programs like Palabras Bookstore to be able to participate. And we are also now accepting applications from artist collaboratives. So I think we're not there yet, but it does seem to me that the Arts and Culture Commission and our office is really trying to take important steps. And we got an increase in applications this year, which is exciting. We will grant more than 1.2 million to 98 applicants. We are recognizing and investing in some very effective and powerful partners here. In Phoenix, arts means business, and I think today's investments will be an important support step for the amazing artists and collaboratives, community organizations, and small LLCs that we'll be investing in today. Any additional comments? Roll call.
Mayor, I'll make it quick. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I could do the comments.
Councilman DeCiccio.
Oh, I was just going to do it at the vote, but thank you, Mayor. I would support Councilwoman Guardado with whatever effort she has on that, especially since we've got the policy in place where art projects are not just art. It's not like a painting. It has to have a functionality so that it's functional to the public as well. And this is something that we started, or actually one of the things I helped get through back in the 90s. So I would love to help her on that as she moves forward. If there's a way to make it more equitable, I think it should be done more equitably. And I think there are definitely, there is a lot more in the downtown area. I think a lot of it's because it's the percent for arts that creates that. But I don't know if that is required to be on that specific project, or if there's some sort of nexus we can do to say, hey, look, a certain percentage of these need to go into some of these other areas that are really devoid of it. And I would imagine people in the arts community would love to see individuals. And I have to tell just a quick story. I mean, how I went to my very first ballet. It was back when I was in 5th grade. I had no idea that there was actually a world like that. I was able to memorize Tchaikovsky's, I can't remember the ballet. It was a Christmas ballet, but it was, what is it? Oh, the Nutcracker. Sorry, someone had to tell me. But it was the Nutcracker, and it was eye-opening. And I actually sat around and I thought, this is how another side of the world looks, and this is what they do. I just had no idea that it even existed. So art can come in many forms, and exposure to art can come in many forms. I'm going to be supporting this, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilwoman Guardado, for standing up for your district and making those points. I think equity takes a lot more work. I think it's sometimes easier to do what's already there. In conversations with Mitch and the arts team, I think they have a solid plan. Grateful for the new Spanish support that they're having. It comes down, I think, to getting arts and culture more funding as well, especially if we can tag it and for it to be specific for this equity. Going through, since Councilman DeCiccio told a story, I'll tell a story as well. One of our parks, which is one of the hottest areas in the entire city on 19th and Southern, it cost us 10 times more to put a tree in it because of the way we had to do, the studies we had to do there. But it takes that to make sure that we're doing right by the community, and that's what equity looks like. And so I think I'm going to be supporting this because I think there's some great organizations that are getting the funding. But I do think we were able to give an influx through the pandemic funds. I do think next year we need to consider funding art at a different level. And the final thing I'll say is we have the bond coming up, and I'd be really excited specifically with the Latino arts and culture, for us to come out of the bond program with both a central project and one on the west side to make sure that we address these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ansari.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be voting yes. I just wanted to also emphasize my commitment to working with Councilman Guardado, especially where our districts neighbor each other in the Maryville area. I think these are very, very valid points. And I will say, I also want to just shout out to Mitch and the team for their efforts in trying to improve. And, you know, there were a lot of exciting wins, I think, in my portion of Maryville this past year, including a miniature park opening with art installations on Osborne and 67th Avenue. So I think that's a great model to continue, and hope that we can continue to prioritize equity in the arts, and also fully agree with Councilman Garcia that I think generally we need an increase in funding for the arts. Thank you.
DeCiccio.
Yes, Mayor. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
No.
O'Brien.
Mayor, may I explain my vote?
Please do.
Thank you. I will be voting yes, but I do want to say thank you to Councilwoman Guardado for championing this effort. I'm share a border with Councilman Guardado and couldn't agree more that sometimes west of I-17 is sometimes forgotten, and we do need to work harder to bring the arts to those of us in that area. I do want to thank the parks for their efforts, but look forward to working with you on that. Thank you.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes, and Councilwoman Guardado, we all border, so I think you have enough people on council to start really pushing and making sure there's equity across the board, and especially on the west side, because the west side does get at times forgotten. But you have strong advocates, so yes. And woohoo!
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-1.
We next go to 103 Community Wireless Network, Digital Divide Cooperative Network. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 103.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, noting that Vice Mayor Pastor will not be participating in the vote. I'll turn to Councilwoman O'Brien for comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to continue to support and champion these efforts to close the digital divide amongst our kids. We saw during the pandemic how critical it was to invest in technology and programs to allow equitable access to fundamental education for all children. I applauded the public library for their innovative hotspot and laptop rental programs and supported their efforts every time they looked to us for an expansion of these programs. And I'm excited to continue to support this item and programs to help close the digital divide in the areas where we have students with the greatest need. No longer will they be unable to complete their school and coursework due to a lack of connectivity. Again, I'm committed to bringing Phoenix into the 21st century, and that includes our citizens as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I am looking forward to this supporting this item as well. We are able to do this thanks to our partnership with the federal government and trying to advance the goals for our country of digital equity. I hope that the City of Phoenix will also be a recipient of some of the dollars the state of Arizona has received for digital equity. We want to make sure that we have a good partnership and that our residents receive their fair share of those dollars as well, because we have a lot of work to do in this area. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Mayor, quick comment.
Please do.
I just wanted to thank Councilwoman Pastor, Vice Mayor Pastor, for all the work that she's done on this, and really excited to making sure all of our districts, and we also include equity in this process. So, a yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Just a quick comment. I too want to thank the Vice Mayor for her passion on this issue. I'm a yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
106 is related to the Phoenix Youth and Education Office. Will our city clerk please read the title, and then I'll turn to the Vice Mayor.
Item 106 is for Ordinance G6996, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 26 of the Phoenix City Code relating to the Phoenix Youth and Education Commission.
Vice Mayor.
Moving item 106.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring. Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
We next move to 112 related to downtown cameras. Vice Mayor.
Move item 112.
Second.
Second.
Do we have any comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
No.
Guardado.
No.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring. Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 5-3.
We next move to 113, a donation from the Phoenix Police Foundation for the Victim Center renovation. Vice Mayor.
Move item 113.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilwoman O'Brien.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm excited to be supporting this item today. When leadership from our police department and the Phoenix Police Foundation first came to me with an idea and need to overhaul our victim center, I unequivocally offered my support. This item today is to accept a donation of up to $550,000 to redesign the victim center to provide an environment that will not further traumatize our vulnerable victims. The new space will be more inviting with private exam rooms, warmer interview rooms, and housing all needed services in one location. Currently, the space has been described by some as a fishbowl, with victims feeling as though all eyes are on them. I want to thank Tim Noby of the Phoenix Police Foundation for seeing a need and taking it upon himself to raise the much needed funds for this renovation. Already, Tim has raised $100,000 of the $550,000 needed for this project. If anyone sitting in the audience or watching the meeting today would like to make a donation to help with this renovation, you can do so by going to phoenixpolicefoundation.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next move to item 114, amend agreements with various school districts for funding for school resource officers. Vice Mayor.
Move item 114.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We do have a member of the public to provide testimony. Deanna Ford, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Hi, Mayor and council people. 1 second, I just have to pull my notes up. I am so sorry. I thought that I was under the impression that we did not get. I'm here to speak on item 115 and the placement of SRO officers. I am here from Black Political Cultivation, Arizona, and we are not in agreement. In fact, we're in strong disagreement against additional funds being placed, additional funds for officers placed. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm so nervous. Forgive me. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you the importance of us putting that money into other programs. If there are already SRO officers in the school, that additional funds could be used for mentoring programs. It could be used for advocates in the school. I come from a city in Racine where we were voted #2 worst place for Black folks to live. And I just wanted to share what they did to kind of address the issues in the school. I am a teacher. I'm an educator. I've been living in Arizona for about 6 months now. One of the things that they did was they put mentoring programs in the schools, and those students that got in trouble were then mandated to attend the mentoring programs. The mentoring programs built them up, gave them coping skills, used research-based things to help them kind of deal and navigate through life. We believe at Black Political Cultivation that additional school resource officers will harm Black and brown and minority students further. So we're asking you to think about those funds in a different light. If we put the mentoring programs in place, if we add advocates to the schools that have student behavioral issues, then those students are built up at the end of the day versus being further harmed.
Thank you for that testimony. Comments, questions? Roll call.
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor.
Yes. Could someone please explain the additional dollars to the SRO piece?
Vice Mayor, you probably can't see. Chief Kurtenbach is coming to the table to discuss that.
Mayor Gallego, Vice Mayor Pastor, I want to make sure that I'm responsive to your question. So may I ask you to clarify what your specific question is?
Well, my understanding is that the SRO funding comes from the federal government and it's a grant. So I just wanted to understand or get clarity if that's the additional dollars or that's what we're voting on.
Mayor Gallego, Vice Mayor Pastor, it is correct that this money does not come from the existing police department budget, general fund. These are grant dollars. These SROs were specifically requested by 2 different school districts, and that's how they will in turn be funded.
You're just reallocating the funds to a different school, or 2 different schools got new selected for allocation.
Mayor Gallego, Vice Mayor Pastor, in essence, that's correct. They reached out to us and asked that we allocate 4 additional school resource officers to 3 schools in 2 districts.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor. I apologize. Pastor.
Yes.
Thank you. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-1.
We next move to 119, which is an amendment to the City Code, Section 36-158, Schedule 1, local speed limits at 27 locations. Well, I will turn to the Vice Mayor after the City Clerk reads the title.
Item 119 is for Ordinance G6997, an ordinance amending Chapter 36, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 12, Section 36-158, Schedule 1 of the Phoenix City Code relating to local speed limits and 27 locations.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Move item 119.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll turn to Councilwoman Ansari.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm thrilled that the speed limit on historic Grand Avenue is being lowered between 7th and 15th Avenues. This is something that the community there has been advocating for many, many years. 20 years or more. So I'm extremely grateful. Want to give a shout out to Keeney and Marielle for working with us and taking many meetings with the community to make this happen. This lowered speed limit, I believe, combined with the buffered bike lanes that are currently being installed, as well as additional traffic calming installations, will help Grand Avenue continue its transformation from the major arterial road it once was to a pedestrian-oriented walkable community where the street level small businesses can truly thrive. So I'm very excited to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Pastor. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
We'll next move to item 120, and I'll begin by asking the city clerk to read the title.
Item 120 is for Ordinance G7005, an ordinance amending the city code of the City of Phoenix, Arizona, Chapter 36 by amending Article 11, Section 36-134 regarding stopping, standing, or parking prohibited in specified places.
Vice Mayor.
I'd like to move item 120.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. This helps us comply with both state law and the Americans with Disabilities Act. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Ooh, yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next move to item 127, which is an intergovernmental agreement with the Murphy Elementary School District for the installation of a pedestrian signal. I'll turn to Councilwoman Ansari for a motion.
Thank you. I move to approve item 127. This is another exciting traffic safety win for District 7 families. Last August, we started this process. I met with Murphy Elementary School District leadership, including Superintendent Dr. Goodwin, where they showed me some of the dangerous intersections or dangerous roads that students have to cross when walking to school. One of these such roads was Buckeye Road in front of Murphy's Education and Health Center, where many cars speed and there's a constant tractor-trailer traffic, causing students to walk much further to reach safe crosswalks than they will once this hawk signal is installed. So this will be especially helpful for students who are living in the mobile home park across the street, who will now have a direct path from their homes to Cuban Elementary School. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
We next go to item 128, which is a traffic control device in District 3 at the Paradise Valley Unified School District. Councilwoman Stark.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion, then some comments. I move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Mayor, we have a high school and a middle school next to each other, and it has posed some real traffic hazards. And as a matter of fact, a child was hit walking to school. Fortunately, the child was okay. But I want to thank your office, Mayor. You sat in on a meeting with the Paradise Valley Unified School District, and they are willing to pay for a hawk as long as we come up with some other traffic solutions. And a big thanks to Keeney because he has come up with those solutions. So I'm very excited that we're going to really help this area out and make sure our kids are safe. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Woohoo, yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. Congrats to all involved. We will next move to a motion to suspend the rules. Vice Mayor. Oh, no, for our city clerk, do we want to do 144 and then? All right. So 144 is a final plat in District 6. It was originally pulled for a public comment, and that individual no longer needs to speak. Councilman DeCiccio, this is in your district. Do you have a motion?
I move. Yeah, I do, Mayor. I move approval.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor, Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Vice Mayor, do you have a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules and change the order of business to take items 165 and 166 out of order and after item 171.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Passes unanimously. All right, we go next to 163. We have a series. We'll introduce Josh Bednarik with our Planning and Development Director to provide a brief staff report on the southwest corner of Kierland Boulevard and Maryland Road.
Mayor, items 163 and 164 are public hearings for companion general plan amendment and rezoning cases and can be heard together but will require separate actions. The property in question for both cases is 6.1 acres located at the southwest corner of Kierland Boulevard and Maryland Road in Council District 2. Item 163 is GPA PV 4-21-2, a request to change the general plan land use map designation for the property from industrial to mixed use. Item 164 is Z76-21-2, a request to rezone the same property from CP, GCP, PCD to PUD to allow multifamily residential. The Paradise Valley VPC heard both requests on May 2nd and recommended approval by a vote of 11-0. The Planning Commission heard both requests on June 2nd and recommended approval per the PVVPC's recommendation by a vote of 7-0. Staff recommends approval of GPA PV 4-21-2 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related resolution. Staff recommends approval of Z76-21-2 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related ordinance. Mayor, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We'll open the public hearing. We do not have any members of the public here to comment. Close the public hearing and turn to Councilman Waring.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a question for Josh. Are you just making up all those letters and numbers you just read? Kind of seemed like it to me. I don't know.
Mayor, Councilman Waring, I cannot confirm.
Are you like Churchill? Do you practice in a mirror to make sure you get them all straight in the right order before coming here? No, I appreciate the applicant worked with the neighbors. I think the evidence of that is there are no neighbors here to comment on this issue. So unless you fellas tell me something different, sounds like everybody's pretty satisfied with the result. So I'm ready to make a motion, Mayor, unless somebody else has something to say.
We are ready.
Okay. Motion to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes, Waring.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Wonderful. Councilman Waring, item 164.
Thank you. Motion to approve for the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes, yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. We'll now begin a series of items related to a area in District 2, beginning with the Sonoran Desert Drive funding policy. I will recognize our Deputy City Manager, Alan Stevenson, to kick off a series of related items.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I'm joined up here with Adam Miller, who is our infrastructure and finance team leader. He is also currently on loan to the Budget and Research Department working on the GO bond, but he's here helping finish up some additional work that he started. And so this particular item is an exciting one that staff is bringing forward after working with the State Land Department and the Verdan development team to address transportation funding within the northern part of the city. You see on the PowerPoint that's going to come up here in just a second that we are dealing with a very large area all north of the Central Arizona Project Canal that has a significant infrastructure limits in terms of the road network to serve new development within that area. It's principally all state land up in that area, and this policy establishes an overall framework that as new development is coming in, the city will work with them to have an equitable transportation contribution to helping pay for Sonoran Desert Drive. And when the PowerPoint comes up here in just a second, I'll point out a few things for you on here. And so, perfect, right there. Thank you. So you, all right. Just wanted to geographically point out some of the areas here for those of you that don't frequent Council District 2 and Council District 1 as often. In this case, the red area shown here is Sonoran Desert Drive corridor with those red lines going right through that. And you can see that for this particular area between Desert View Village and North Gateway Village, there are over 100 square miles of land up there. And there's really 4 transportation corridors because of the mountain preserves and that are in the way that block things, as well as some existing development. And so you have Carefree Highway on the north, Sonoran Desert Drive, then you have Pinnacle Peak and Happy Valley that will connect, and then Deer Valley Drive. Those are the only roads that connect that entire area north or east-west route north of the Loop 101. And so Sonoran Desert Drive is a significant road that carries additional traffic and will carry significant traffic as this area all develops, with the area all here in blue that is principally owned by the Arizona State Land Department. With that, I'm going to turn over to Adam, who is going to walk us through the details of it.
Thank you, Alan. Mayor and Council, this item is about building roads within the Sonoran Desert Drive corridor in a timely manner and ensuring that new development contributes its share of the cost. I'm going to briefly discuss what makes Sonoran Desert Drive corridor unique and how this policy is going to be implemented, and then I'll give it back to Alan to complete his remarks and read the recommendation. So what makes the Sonoran Desert Drive corridor unique? The geography in North Phoenix prevents us from constructing a street grid that we've come accustomed to in much of the city. Sonoran Desert Drive is the only east-west connection from Deer Valley Road to Carefree Highway. Deer Valley Road just north of the 101 connection there. And that distance is about 8 miles from Deer Valley up to Carefree Highway, so limited connections going east-west in North Phoenix. As this map illustrates, the corridor acts almost like a bridge connecting rapidly growing areas in North Phoenix. So how do we expect this policy will be implemented? When new developments apply for zoning, they will be asked to complete a traffic impact analysis that would include their impacts on the Sonoran Desert Drive corridor roads. The results of an approved traffic impact analysis will inform what contributions are necessary to mitigate that development's impact. For example, a developer may contribute cash that would go toward a future capital improvement project or directly add capacity to the road system by constructing improvements. The city would contribute 24% toward the improvements within the corridor. This amount is based on pass-through traffic that is not from new development in that area. The next item on Council's agenda is the Verdan planned community. This proposed development is located inside the Sonoran Desert Drive corridor, and I should note the developer has agreed to major deal points for a development agreement that is consistent with this policy. If approved, the development agreement would be brought to Council at a future meeting. With that, I'll turn it back to Alan to complete his remarks.
Thank you, Adam. Mayor, members of council, staff does recommend approval per the June 29th memo from the Growth and Infrastructure Team Leader and adoption of the related resolution that was within that memo, laid out some of the changes that we recently met with on the Arizona State Land Department to make all those changes, and as well as the Verdan folks. With that, I just would like to thank our partners in this, the Streets Transportation Department, as well as Sunbelt Holdings, Taylor Morrison, and the State Land Department. We will continue to work with the State Land Department as we continue to work on growing and developing their area and within ours as well, as they sell land to make sure that we are providing for a good transportation network in the north area to serve our residents. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councilman Waring.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Alan and Adam, when this project started, and it's been well over 3 years now, this wasn't part of it, correct?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, this was not initially part of it. This was a pure zoning case that they filed that you hear about in just a minute, but one of the issues that was quickly identified by yourself based upon some of the public concerns and comments about it was the need to address transportation and traffic within this area.
So if I had to sum it up for someone watching at home who, is just walking into this, at the beginning this wasn't part of it, but now the developer is paying an awful lot of money into street improvements that will benefit not just residents of their project, but residents, potentially all over Phoenix, but certainly anyone who drives on that stretch. Is that where they weren't before? Is that a fair assessment?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, that is correct.
How much money are we talking about?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, we're talking about an $8,400 per housing unit contribution for each of the homes that are built within that area over time.
Yeah, so it's a lot. So appreciate the developers willing to work with the city. They've worked in other areas too, but this was one of them. I thought it was important for the residents up there. They brought concerns to me when this first started several years ago. Did have a more recent concern that came up regarding bike lanes and the safety of bike lanes, how to separate the bike lanes from the traffic. That is part of this development. This can be worked out going forward. Is that correct? I'm probably not articulating that as well as I should, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, Mayor, Councilman Waring, yes. As part of Street Transportation Department work, they will go through and update the traffic and designs that were done for Sonoran Desert Drive with the existing north 2 lanes that were built. They will update that in the future, and that will be able to address some of those issues. And I do have Keeney Knudsen, the Street Transportation Directors, online if you want to ask him any questions about timing or anything related to that.
Yeah, I might just in a second, and I'm not sure. It's been a few years. When we worked with the developer on the Deer Valley expansion over by Reach 11, basically by Cave Creek Road a few years ago, the Desert Ridge HOA and the citizens there were intimately involved in, do you want bike lanes? Do you want extra lanes of traffic? What do you want the medians to look like, and so forth? I assume something can be set up, and maybe this is a question for Keeney, but I assume going forward, that same model, which worked well, citizens were very happy. If you ever drive along that stretch, it turned out fantastic. And it was what the citizens who lived there wanted. Is it possible to do that going forward with this stretch?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, I believe so, but I would defer to Keeney if you'd like to address that specifically.
We'll take that as a yes, Keeney.
We'll convey that and make sure that, that he's aware of that, and I'm certain that it will.
Okay. Is he not on the line, or?
He's up in the room, I believe, but I think they're having some trouble connecting.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe if it's possible in some of these other items, I would like to get something, definitive, because that process works so well. And I didn't remember if I worked with you or Keeney about it. That's been several years. But I would like to replicate that out of the respect for the people who have expressed an interest in the bike lanes and just the general layout of the road. I definitely want to make sure that that is respected going forward.
And we do have some public comments, so we can maybe go back and
yeah, if you can't get them on, you can't get them on. I know how that goes. But okay, if you want to go to the public comment, that's fine, Mayor, for this item.
Perfect. And so we have 3 individuals on this one. We have Brian Schumann Lofel, apologies for pronunciation, opposed, and then Susan Demmett and John Graham. And Susan, there's 5 related cases, and my understanding is that Susan might want to speak on all of them at once, or just 2 minutes on this one. Okay, separate comments on, okay. Perfect. So Susan will speak 2 minutes on this policy, and then we will hear the related items later, and she will speak a longer presentation on those. So she will 2 minutes now, and then we'll do up to 10 minutes on the next series. And
Mayor, we have Keeney on the line now. He's up in 12 South in the 12.
All right, I'll let Councilman Waring decide what order.
Would you mind doing Keeney first? That might make sense. And then
perfect. We'll do
Keeney. That
Keeney.
might inform anybody who might speak.
So we'll do Keeney first, and then why don't we go to Brian opposed, then Susan, then John Graham. So we'll do Keeney, Brian opposed, Susan in support, John in support. All right, Councilman Waring, do you want to repeat your question for Keeney?
Maybe I'll first ask Keeney, did you understand my question, or did you hear my question?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, I think your question was related to how to work in bike lane improvements as relative to the Verdan development or as part of this policy. Is that correct?
Yes, and also I was thinking specifically of, I think you were Streets Department Director then. When we did the Deer Valley, we partnered with a developer to do the Deer Valley Road expansion over by Cave Creek and Reach 11. The citizens and the Desert Ridge HOA had a lot of input on if there were going to be bike lanes, how many bike lanes, what were the medians going to look like, and so forth. Is there a way we can set up sort of a similar process so citizens have similar input in this one? Because that worked really well.
Mayor, Councilman Waring, yes, we can definitely do that. With the Verdan development, if everything goes through with this policy, the Sonoran Desert Drive build-out is a significant amount of funding, but I know Verdan will be contributing a portion of the cost there, and the city will be contributing a portion of the cost. And also, Verdan will be also making some interim improvements to the roadway network as well. We can work through that process to listen to the community and see what improvements they would like to see as far as bike lanes and have a little more dialogue about that so we can figure out what changes we can make in the interim.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll begin with online. Brian, opposed to item 167. The floor is yours.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, hey, hi. Sorry, this is my first public meeting. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm commenting on the right issue. I just wanted to speak out against lifting the desert overlay for the proposed development. This was a preserve that was established back in 1996 by the voters of Phoenix. I know this particular lot was at one point considered for preservation. And so, I, at the very minimum, think that, out of respect for democracy and the interest of the voters who voted to establish this preserve, who wanted to see this land considered for preservation, that you don't lift the desert overlay for this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next, we'll go to Susan for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Susan Demmett with Gamage and Burnham, 40 North Central. I'll just take really briefly to talk about the policy. I'm here on behalf of Taylor Morrison, who is the home builder and developer of the Verdan project that you're going to hear about next. We have worked with the city, with Councilman Waring, with city staff, Keeney, for the last really year and a half as we've developed, helped them, I think, develop the policy that you have in front of you today. And we're very supportive of it because we think it's important to create a fair, equitable, and level playing field as to how the infrastructure in North Phoenix and the street system in particular gets built out. Taylor Morrison will ultimately be contributing anywhere from $12 to $16 million towards the build out of Sonoran Desert Drive. I've heard a couple references to Deer Valley Road. That was also a Taylor Morrison coordination and project, but we worked with the city to help build out Deer Valley Road as well. So they're 2 for 2, I think, in working with the city on street improvement projects. But with that, we're very supportive of the policy and look forward to talking to you about the project next.
Thank you. Our final comment on 167 will be from John Graham.
Thank you, Mayor Gallego and council members. It's great to be here today. My name is John Graham, and my address, or company is Sunbelt Holdings, address is 6720 North Scottsdale Road. This will be very, very brief. I just want to thank all of you, and especially Jim Waring, Councilman Waring, for encouraging people to work together to find a creative and holistic solution to a very complex problem, and also to the city staff that worked hand in hand with us. I feel like I'm at the end of a marathon. Hopefully I'm not being presumptive as to the outcome, but I think it's a good place to be for all of us at this point. And I think it's really rare. We've done a substantial amount of work all the way from Norterra up north into this area, but to really work on things all the way from the quality of development to infrastructure, including especially transportation, and then some things you'll hear more about related to water, is, I think, unusual, but I think it's the right thing to do to set the bar high to start with, so that the solution and the outcome for everybody is a much improved product. So thank you all for the working with us for a long time, and really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Waring.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve per the June 29th memo from the Growth and Infrastructure Team Leader and adopt the related resolution.
Second.
Second.
That might be a record for seconds.
Yeah, I know.
Roll call.
Mayor?
Oh, Councilwoman Stark, yes.
Yes, I just want to take a moment to thank Councilman Waring for all the work he did on this project, and of course, staff, Alan, Adam, and Keeney, but also a thanks to Sunbelt and to Taylor Morrison. This is a great way to partner, and I will be supporting it.
Additional comments? Councilman DeCiccio.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, want to thank Councilman Waring for bringing such a complicated project to the city, because it was not easy, I guarantee you, when you go through the document itself. One of the things that I think neighbors sometimes need to be aware of is that there were actually 2 Supreme Court rulings back in the 1990s, Dolan and Nolan, that the city always needs to comply with. I mean, they're always saying, hey, we need to be able to get this. It's dealing with proportionality and a nexus. And I've faced the same issues in my district. I'm sure Jim had to face those too. That's why I've got to give a lot of credit to the developer for coming in and finding this balance here, and staff, as you know, for the amount of work staff put into this, is that you really can't take more than their proportionate impact on that community. That's it. That's all you can do. And the $8,400 would, that sounds like a pretty substantial amount of money that would need to be going to that area in that community. So there also has to be a nexus to what they're taking. So that means that those monies can't be distributed to other areas of the city or to other places and other types of projects. There has to be a relationship to that project. And so as we move forward, and I know staff is keenly aware of this, but it's also, a message to neighbors, and one that I have to deliver on a consistent basis, that there's only so much that you can require somebody to do legally. And it was literally back in the 1990s, and then there was some state legislation I helped write back, I think it was back in the 90s as well, is when we got it passed, and there were also some Supreme Court rulings from the state. So this has been very strongly affirmed, and for any neighbors, they have to be aware that this is the law and what you can and cannot do. And I want to thank Jim, John, Alan, and everyone else that worked on this thing, because it is complicated. Thank you, Mayor. I'm strongly supporting this.
Councilman O'Brien.
I'd also like to thank Councilman Waring for all of his hard work on this, especially since I also have residents who travel in that area and it will benefit them. And again, thank you to John Graham with Sunbelt Holdings as well as Taylor Morrison. So this will be a significant impact to District 1 as well as District 2. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. We next go to a series of related items beginning with 168. I will thank Adam for his report and welcome Josh Bednarik up to join our Deputy City Manager, Alan Stevenson, who will begin item 168, which we will see, and we'll have a staff report for 168 through 171.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Excited to talk about these items here as they represent a collaborative effort in working with the development team as well as various community stakeholders as well as our serving city departments like streets and the water department to bring forward a development proposal here that is significantly advancing the bar to ensure that we are able to try and balance new growth that we need to have from in terms of housing, the economic development opportunities of that, but also ensuring that we're addressing our infrastructure in a very appropriate manner so that the public has a good street network as evidenced by the last policy that was created, as well as some of the stipulations that Josh Bednarik will talk about here relative to the drought that has been declared along the Colorado River and Tier 1 up there, so that we are being very good stewards as we continue to balance all of the needs of trying to ensure preservation of our Sonoran Desert, wise use of water, the need for housing, and provisions of infrastructure. And so these four items together really are setting a new stage for development up here within the northern part of the city. The first one, item 168, is a general plan amendment for the land use changes for the 480-acre Verdan parcel. Item 169 and 170 are a zoning case, which is 169 to modify the boundaries of the Desert Character Overlay District. And then item 170 is a text amendment to modify some of the language within that overlay zoning. And then item 171 is a replacement zoning district that establishes the zoning allowances for the Verdan project and also brings forward a number of items that were within the Desert Character Overlay and even exceeds that, as Mr. Bednarik will talk about here in just a minute. Josh.
Thank you, Alan. Mayor, members of the council, if we could get the PowerPoint up. As Alan said, there are 4 items, so it is quite a bit of alphabet soup, so bear with me as I do proceed through these. We'll start with item 168, which is the general plan amendment. And as Alan said, it's a request to change the general plan land use map in the area. This is a context map of the area. You can see the subject site here just south of Sonoran Desert Drive between Cave Creek Road and Interstate 17. A little bit more zoomed in, again, south of Sonoran Desert Drive. The area is surrounded by state trust land to the east and the west, and Sonoran Preserve to the north and the south. The general plan amendment is a request to modify the existing designations, which are a mix to residential 2 to 3.5 dwelling units per acre and preserve floodplain. As Alan explained, items 169 and 170 are joint requests, a rezoning request and text amendment to modify the boundaries of the Desert Character Overlay District. You can see the notch that's created in Subdistrict A as part of the request on this map. Item 171 is the actual rezoning case for the PUD for the entire 488 acres. As amended by the Desert View Village Planning Committee and the Planning Commission, the proposal calls for 1,250 units, down originally from 1,420. The requests were heard by both the North Gateway and Desert View VPCs. The chart on the screen summarizes the recommendations from these committees along with the Planning Commission. I won't go through all of them, but in summary, both VPCs and the Commission recommended approval of all 4 requests. There was a memo included in the packet that addressed additional amendments to the proposed PUD in response to the Stage 1 water alert declaration. The memo outlines a series of additional commitments made by the applicant to ensure that the subdivision ultimately develops as one of the most water-efficient subdivisions in the Southwest. Commitments from the applicant include participation in the EPA WaterSense certification program, National Wildlife Federation certification, and prohibition on turf and irrigation for portions of the development. Staff recommends approval of GPA DSTV-1-18-2 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related resolution. Approval of Z75-18-2 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related ordinance. Approval of ZTA5-18-2 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related ordinance. And approval of Z62-18-2 per the memo from the Planning and Development Department Deputy Director dated June 27th, 2022, and adoption of the related ordinance. Mayor, happy to answer any questions.
Councilman Waring.
Thank you. I just want to make a couple comments. So listening to that at home, that probably all sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook. I appreciated Sal's nice comments earlier. I did smile a little when he talked about document, like maybe it was a couple documents. We actually have 2 big binders sitting here that are just this case. And so this was I think noticed by my colleagues, a lot of trees did not survive this process, unfortunately, to make all this paper. But there is a reason, because a lot of work went into it. I was thinking of this, we had a case here earlier that was at Greenway and Kierland, basically. There was a very controversial case a few years ago. Neighbors were very upset. They wound up winning their case effectively. But what came out of that was a template for development in that area, which is why a case like today's case, which would have normally been controversial in that Kierland and Greenway area, went through with no comment at all, because developers know what the expectation is going forward for that area. That's what I got out of it, frankly, less aggravated. People know, don't come in here with a case that doesn't comply with what's already expected around there by those neighbors. So I think that was worth doing, and I would argue that's the same in this particular case. So a couple key points. If I was living up there, if I was traveling on those roads, if I like using the preserve, I think what you're going to find, what you get out of that, is there is now an expectation, a very high bar that has been set by John Graham and his team for what is expected up there. And there are a couple points I just want to make. We've already talked about roads, so everybody's going to have to chip in so that taxpayers don't have to do nearly as much. But I would also argue, I don't know if you can go back, but the Federation of Wildlife certification, that's something they worked on for years. It was something that neighbors brought up 3+ years ago when this first started. That's a big deal. And that's the kind of expectation you're going to see that wasn't there before this case. Is that a fair statement?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so that's something that neighbors asked for, that now when future developers come in, we're going to be looking for, did you meet the same high bar that these folks did? If they can do it, you can too. I want to point out the EPA certification. So that is a huge deal. And maybe Troy and Max, they were here. Oh yeah, they're on the inside. If they could come over, maybe they can talk about that. So, but first, credit for this goes to the mayor. She really held people's feet to the fire about water usage. We are not unaware of the drought situation. So I guess my questions for Troy and Max, and I appreciate you guys being here, and we've talked about this. This certification, is this something the EPA just gives out to anybody? What do you have to do to get this certification?
Mayor and Councilman Waring, yeah, that is something that is coming up new, and it's something that we are very excited about. I have with me our water conservation manager, Max Wilson, that would kind of address that and kind of give you more clarity.
Mayor, Councilman Waring, no, the EPA certification really is the gold standard for home water efficiency. It is a federally recognized standard. It went through a revision last year that shows that each home must document that they are using 30% less water than a comparable new build. A recent study done by the EPA and our friends at Southern Nevada showed that they use about 120 gallons per home per day. That's almost that's a 110 gallon difference than what we see in comparable new builds, so almost half. So it is a substantial water efficiency improvement relative to what we would normally expect.
Are there a lot of these certifications that have been given out in the Southwest, not just Arizona?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, there are several home builders here that are looking towards moving towards 100% WaterSense home building, but at this scale, this would be a very substantial improvement.
So this is about as good as it gets. And again, it's not just about this project. You could say, well, if you didn't build any houses, then no water would be used. But there are going to be houses built eventually. That's going to happen. You've got all that state trust land right in the heart of District 2. It's not realistic to say that that's not going to happen. You've got the semiconductor plant being built right down the street in District 1. There's no way there isn't going to be more development. So this is setting a standard that is the gold standard and dramatically better because a new house, like my house was built in 1961. So, but you've got houses built in the 90s that were more efficient, obviously, than that. And we've gotten much more efficient since. The average house is using a lot less water in 2022 than it was, say, in 1999. But you're saying these houses are going to be way more efficient than houses that were built in 2021, correct?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, that is correct. And to your point about adopting a gold standard, to our knowledge, if the city of Phoenix were to adopt this as the standard throughout the area, we would be the first city in the nation to do so.
So again, Mayor, I appreciate you forcing this issue, rightfully so. But I do think there is going to be a huge benefit for citizens going forward. Irrespective of what they think about this project, I do think the ancillary benefits are really a positive for our community, at least in North Phoenix. I'm not trying to speak for everybody else in their districts, but we are setting a new bar and an expectation. So again, thank you to the developer for agreeing to go along because this was not easy. They had to go speak to their clients or Taylor Morrison themselves, and they had to sign off on this, but they did it. The proof is in the pudding because the next case we're going to hear after this one is done is also complying with that standard. So they'll be the second one to do it, and really appreciate their effort as well. But it started here, and I appreciate you guys clarifying that. I could go on and on about this, and frankly, the specificity about the water usage and why it's better. It certainly gave me some ideas about how things can be done better about irrigation and common areas. This developer, for example, the area that's going to be set aside and preserved is not going to be flooded with water. It's going to be the natural elements, the natural critters that are living there now. They're going to get to keep their same habitat, and I think that's a good thing. That was also, I think, requested by the neighbors, correct?
Mayor, Councilman Waring, yes, that is correct, and I think that it's one of the things that's very unique about the project is not just the WaterSense Homes level certification for each and every home, which again means that it must be individually inspected to ensure it meets those compliance levels, but comparing that with the National Wildlife Federation certification, that leaves 20% of the land in open, unirrigated space, and we find that leaving land in open, unirrigated space is the single most important thing that you can do as development proceeds to maintain low water use over time.
Well, thank you for that, Mayor. I appreciate his explanation. I mean, I knew grass was bad. I had never thought about the common areas and how they get treated, so that also put thoughts in my head about developers, if you're listening, who want to do business in District 2, going forward, what you might expect, because I didn't realize that was the number one thing. It should have probably occurred to me, but it didn't, so.
Yes, sir, Mayor, Councilman Waring. It is one of the things that we find almost universally is that if you give people the chance to water, they overwater. So eliminating that irrigation is an incredible first step.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I think I'll just stop there and then hear what people have to say and so forth. I just wanted to pull out at least a couple points of what I'm sure seemed like very dry numbers and letters that were English but strung together probably were almost meaningless to people watching at home. So these are a couple things that I think are coming out of this project if it passes, but even if it doesn't, I suppose, we have a different level of expectation now in some of these areas that I think is really good for our community and for our environment. So I appreciate that, fellas. Thank you. And Mayor, however you want to proceed. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilman Waring. And I feel like at this point I'm okay saying, you don't have to say if it passes. I like the odds very much. You have worked on this for years and years.
We don't have to keep saying that. I lived it. I got the lines etched in my face, the gray hair. It's not all from the kids. But I will say this, Mayor. Arnold Palmer had an excellent saying. And as you usually do, you're probably like, where is he going with this? He's like, I won 4 Masters, but I was leading 4 Masters, and I didn't win them. And the reason was I started thinking how great it's going to be to win the Masters. So I count nothing before it's actually done. Thank you.
Well, thank you. For those who didn't live this program, it has been on these agenda items. It has been on the front page of the paper, multiple TV stories. It is one of the most complicated projects that I have seen during my time here. And as Councilman Waring said, the water issues are very important to all of us, but has been an area of focus for me. We have a very rough situation on the Colorado River, and as our water team goes forward to participate in the talks, we need to be able to demonstrate how seriously we are taking it. I'm not sure if everyone understands the current situation and the very low priority Central Arizona has. It will be a political process as well as a scientific process, and several actions we have taken today will be important to how well we do in this. Earlier today, in item 137, the council unanimously approved to leave additional water on the Colorado River. We're now at 30,000 acre feet. So we are part of the solution. Our lakes are at unviable levels, and we are in a very tenuous situation. A lot of entities are going to have to come together to get through this. 70% of the water is agricultural, so our agricultural partners will need to step up, just as the city of Phoenix has stepped up. Today may go forward as one of the most important council meetings on water issues that we have had, and the Water Sense certification is a very important part of that. I might turn to our deputy city manager to speak a little bit about water policy and how seriously we are taking the situation on the Colorado.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Based upon the discussions with Taylor Morrison and Sunbelt folks and the mayor and Councilman Waring, as we have worked to try and finalize the zoning case on this and the requirements, one of the things that became clearly evident in working with our partners in the water department is the need for a policy that would govern how development is happening in the area north of the Central Arizona project to ensure that other new developments that are coming in are meeting some of these same requirements that we are pushing and that Sunbelt is agreeing to and Taylor Morrison here today. And so we will be working on that policy with the water department and getting, of course, guidance from the mayor and all the council, and working to bring something forward this fall that will ensure that all new development that's happening up in the north is making sure that they're doing everything they can to address the drought issues up there.
Thank you so much. We'll turn now to Councilwoman O'Brien.
Again, I would just like to congratulate Councilman Waring as well as you, Mayor. As Councilman Waring noted, TSMC is being built in District 1, and so there is much more development to come to both his district as well as District 1, and this does set a very high bar that will, hopefully save me some time, some years, some wrinkles, and some gray hairs, it sounds like. So I'm eternally grateful for that. So, and congratulations again to John Graham and Taylor Morrison. Thank you all for working so hard to get this done. City staff, it's really incredible work, and I can't begin to thank you enough. So congratulations, everyone.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you. I too want to thank Councilman Waring and Sunbelt and Taylor Morrison, but especially I want to thank you, Mayor. I am glad you brought the EPA Water Sense certification to the entire development community. I think it's important. I certainly learned a lot about what to look for and appliances. So the next appliance I buy, I'm going to make sure it has certification that it's WaterSense. So, I think this really shows that we're moving forward and we're very sensitive about how we develop. But once again, thank you, and especially to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Stark. I have to say, Dr. Wilson and the Water Department brought it forward, but I appreciate everyone in making this a really important issue. One of the things I did learn in the last month is that most of us overwash our dishes, and that you can more easily just put them in the dishwasher, which will be more efficient. So I feel like that's some good news for everyone, and that also, as Dr. Wilson said, there's a lot of opportunities to save water use outdoors, which is for us where the bulk of it is. So opportunities to help the environment and help your bottom line, and we'll hope to continue to support the Water Department in sharing those messages about how we can conserve water in our desert environment. Additional council comments?
Do we have citizen comment?
So we do have 3 citizen comments. We have Susan Demet, Gary Kirkless, neutral, and then Alex Stedman in support in person if necessary.
Can we ask, is Dr. Gary Kirkless, is he asking to speak?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Could we take him?
Wonderful.
Can we take it out of order? Yeah.
Yes, so we'll be...
While he comes up, if he would, I just want to say, been a lot of thank yous put around. So I met, I always call him Gary, but it's Dr. Kirkless. My kids were doctors. I insist on every person they ever met calling them doctors. So something to be proud of, so even if he doesn't care, out of respect, that's what I'm going to call him. But we've worked together for over 3 years. For frame of reference, some of you weren't on the council when this started. I think this was on the front page of the paper. I think Jessica was still covering us. So it was like April of 2019 or something, so long before COVID. You might not even be mayor yet, Mayor, now that I think about it.
No, this was one of my first zoning cases as mayor. That's how long.
Oh, gotcha. So it came around. Yeah, so this has been a long time, as people have said. Gary has hung in there. He has worked hard on this issue. He held our feet to the fire. Frankly, these changes that we're talking about, I don't think would have happened without him and his effort and the group that he led. He didn't get everything out of this process that he wanted, but he sure got a lot, as I think you've heard. And I hope he comes away with it with a good taste. Whatever he says right now, he might say this is the worst thing ever and Waring's the worst person ever. That's why I wanted to speak before he said anything. So I honestly think we wouldn't be having this kind of it's really self-congratulatory, actually, but the Wildlife Federation stuff, the EPA stuff, I don't know that would have happened without his work. So he should be proud of that, even if he's not happy that the project might pass today. I just wanted to say thank you for your efforts, and it was appreciated. And I just hope, as a citizen who was active and getting nothing more out of it than that, I hope you felt, you were at least treated fairly, certainly by my office, but by all of us. And I appreciated you, regardless of how you feel about us. So I just wanted to say that, Mayor. Thank you.
Wonderful. With that, I will open the public hearing and turn it over to Dr. Kirkless.
Thank you, Mayor Gale, Councilman Waring. Yes, I am one of the principal founders of the Save Our Sonoran Preserve Group. We have over 1,200 members. We realize how special a place this preserve is. I can guarantee you, no matter what district you represent, you have people coming, your constituents are coming to mountain bike, to hike, to cycle along Sonoran Desert Drive. You go out there, you see people taking pictures for weddings. REI, the outdoor company, takes guided hikes there. Hot air balloons are flying over all the time. It's a very special place, and that's why all of us came together, and we were so meticulous about this place. There was things like the desert character overlay and the limit line. They're being contested over these years through a lot of attending meetings, the developer, their legal counsel, and Councilman Waring. A lot of those guidelines have been met as a result. I will still say it would have been a lot easier these past 5 years if some of those guidelines were just firm and we just followed them. It took a lot of citizen mobilization and a lot of phone calls and petition signs to get to a place where we are now. So I place myself as neutral on this because I think the developer does realize how special a place this is. They made really great changes. Many of the components of the contested desert character overlay are now in the PUD, so that's great and wonderful. But again, moving forward, as we have said before, I hope the bar is set high, that this is a very special place, and that the guidelines that we have, they're there and were written specifically for us in this moment. And I hope next time that when the second developer comes along, that we don't need this tremendous citizen mobilization and being on the front page of the newspaper and being on the TV to say, hey, this place is beautiful, let's keep it as it is, or let's follow the rules. That it's just, hey, the desert character overlays here, the limit lines here, we should follow these rules. Because it was, I tell you, it was a tremendous amount of effort to get here, but I'm glad that we're here, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work. And then next, we will have Susan Demmett, who will have up to 10 minutes on 168, 169, 170, and 171.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Susan Demmett with Gambage and Burnham. I'm going to take a cue from all the comments that have been made, and from a basketball coach who was a colleague of my husband's, who would say, be good, be brief, be gone. So I'm going to forego our presentation, and I just want to make a few remarks about process, and then happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. We started this journey with Taylor Morrison well over 4 years ago. We filed this case in 2018. And it's been, it is a very different project today than it was when we started. I mean, it is very, very different. I think in my 25 years of doing this level of work, this has been one of those most challenging, but I would also say most rewarding projects to have the privilege to be involved with. You've had the confluence here of, I think, the right landowner with the right home builder, the right development team, making the commitment to work collaboratively with the community throughout this process. And I think it's just a good example of what can happen when there's an open public process and people really come to the table in earnest to try to solve problems. As I think you've heard a few comments, there have been a number of firsts related to this project. And I do want to recount a few of those. We have put tremendous amount of work to get this master plan community to where it is today. That would include working with your city staff, street transportation department on the Sonoran Desert Drive policy that you just approved. The collaboration with the National Wildlife Federation, which is a commitment Taylor Morrison has made at the corporate level across the country, is a first in Arizona. This will be the first master plan community in Arizona to be built from the ground up to receive that certification. And that's an ongoing certification that goes beyond the zoning. It's built into the governance documents, and the homeowners association will make commitments to maintain that within the community. We've also worked very, very closely with your Parks Department over the last 4 years. We haven't talked and heard about that a lot today, but one of the things that comes out of this project is a huge commitment to preserved open space, and we'll be making the first public trail connection between the north and south halves of the Sonoran Preserve. There will be a very significant public trail corridor that runs through this project, and so that's a huge part of what is in the 90 pages of design guidelines in this PUD are related to our relationship to the Sonoran Preserve. We've talked about the water policy commitments that have been made. And, again, the mayor, Councilman Waring, and Max and Troy have really, helped us understand what we can do and how we can make that happen. And a lot of the things that I think are articulated in our commitments, Taylor Morrison was already doing a lot of that, but this just took it to the next level. And I think the EPA WaterSense certification sets a great model for projects coming in this northern area after this. And the other thing that this project does that the city will benefit from long term is about $60 million worth of public infrastructure that will be built as a result of this project, water, sewer line improvements, and street system expansions. And so I don't want to let that go by, because that is, I think, an important addition to helping the city expand in the northern area. We will be coming forward hopefully in early fall with a development agreement that includes our commitment for Sonoran Desert Drive, as well as a community facilities district, which is a financing tool that we're using to help for all of that public infrastructure. So that those items are to come. But I think lastly, as I close, I do want to, this feels a little bit like an acceptance speech at this point, but I want to I do want to talk about a few specific community stakeholders that were instrumental in, I think, turning the tide for this project. And this really happened, I think, since February of this year. We've worked very closely with a woman named Tice Suppley, who is on your Parks and Mountain Preserve Committee. And she was really the first to push us to make some of the, I think, foundational changes to the project. And then sort of adding on to that, Lou LaGrave, who is a long-standing member of your Desert View Village Planning Committee, and he's the vice chair of that committee. He rolled up his sleeves and worked with us to get this project in a place where that village unanimous, I think, but for a few votes, I'll say overwhelmingly supported this project going forward. And that out of our work with Lou came a significant density reduction and a commitment to dedicate 16 acres of the property within the Cave Creek Wash Corridor to the Parks Department for inclusion in the Sonoran Preserve. And then when we got to Planning Commission, and I give her credit, Marcia Bushing, who it was a longtime South Phoenix Village Planning Committee member, now on the Planning Commission. She read every page of that 140-page PUD document and came to us with a laundry list of questions and requests, and we made a number of additional changes at Planning Commission in response to Marcia. And then Dr. Kirklis, who you have heard from, he founded Save Our Sonoran Preserve in response to this project. We've, in the last week, have made some additional concessions in working with Gary and his group. And I really credit, his efforts with the project being where it is. I think they drew the attention to this project that allowed all of these other stakeholders to come to the table and work with us as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions, talk more about specifics. Otherwise, I'll end it there.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? We'll close the public hearing and turn it to Councilman Waring.
Thank you. So we're going to start with item 168. Motion to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Ansari?
Yes.
DeCiccio?
Yes.
I apologize. DeCiccio, I didn't understand.
I said yes. I'm
Thank
sorry.
You. I appreciate it. Garcia?
You bet. You bet.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Pastor? Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Congratulations. We next move to 169.
Thank you. Motion to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
Roll call.
Ansari?
Yes.
DeCiccio?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Pastor? Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
170.
Motion to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
Roll call.
Ansari?
Yes.
DeCiccio?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Guardado?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Pastor? Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
171.
Motion to approve per the June 27th memo from the Planning and Development Deputy Director and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
Roll call.
Ansari?
Mayor, can I explain my vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will be supporting this item. I did want to flag, I should have said it sooner, but just generally about the city continuing to expand outward and relying on sprawl to grow, especially in an area that's so reliant on the Colorado River. I very much think that as we grow, we need to have a much stronger focus on the way we grow and where we grow, and continuing to build outward into the desert is not sustainable and encourages car culture when we should be building more centrally, densely, and sustainably. That being said, I very, very much appreciate all of the concessions the developer has made. The community that has mobilized, as was mentioned, to a mass level to get to this point, and very excited and proud of the water conservation requirements that are being used in the home. So do want to thank Councilman Waring and Mayor Gallego for your leadership on that, and I will be voting yes. Thank you.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Permission to explain my vote?
Please.
Proving that classics will never die. All I can think of is the Grateful Dead song, What a Long Strange Trip It's Been. I did want to, though, point out, in no particular order, Keeney, Allen, and Troy, and Troy's predecessor, Catherine, and Ed Zerker, the former city manager, because I know they met developer and frankly held their feet to the fire about we need these things. This is over a period of, again, 3 or 4 years. Those meetings would happen pretty frequently to get this to the place where it was passable. If you would have told me we'd get here at this point, I probably would have thought you were nuts, if I'm honest about it. But here it is, and I can't believe it. I feel like voting no just to see the look on your faces, but I'm not going to do that. I'm fighting the urge. So I just want to say, gentlemen, let's never ever do this again. So hopefully future projects will come in ready to go with these new regulations or stipulations. And thank you. I vote aye.
Astor. Gallego.
Aye.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. We'll give our team a moment to get up. Congratulations to all involved. We'll see you in the fall. 165 and 166 are related to the southwest corner of Cave Creek Road and Jomax in Councilman Waring's district, and we will turn to Josh Bednarik for a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Items 165 and 166 are public hearings for companion general plan amendment and rezoning cases and can't be heard together but will require separate actions. Item 165 is GPA DSTV-1-22-2, a request to change the general plan land use map designation for the property from parks open space publicly owned and residential 2 to 5 dwelling units per acre to residential 10 to 15 dwelling units per acre and residential 15 plus. The Desert View Village Planning Committee heard this request on May 3rd and recommended approval by a 7-2 vote. The Planning Commission heard the request on June 2nd and recommended approval per the Desert View VPC recommendation by a 7-0 vote. Item 166 is Z622-2, a request to rezone the entire 417-acre area from S1 to R110, R2, and R3A. The proposal is for a single-family detached subdivision for the bulk of the property and multifamily units at the northeast corner on the same site as the general plan amendment. The Desert View VPC heard this request on May 3rd and recommended approval by a vote of 6-3. The Planning Commission heard the request on June 2nd and recommended approval with modifications and additional stipulations by a vote of 7-0. Staff recommends approval of the general plan amendment per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related resolution. Staff recommends approval of Z622-2 per the June 29th memo from the Planning and Development Department's Deputy Director with the deletion of stipulation number 15 and adoption of the related ordinance. The memo from me includes commitments related to water efficiency similar to those found in the Verdan PUD, captures the Planning Commission's changes related to circulation and building heights, and clarifies requirements for a traffic study and resulting contributions for street infrastructure. Mayor, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, then we will open the public hearing. We do have Ben Tate on behalf of the applicant and Ann Healy with Horton. We'll begin with Mr. Tate.
Is it afternoon yet? Yes, good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of council. Benjamin Tate with Whitney Morris, 2525 East Arizona Biltmore Circle, on behalf of the applicant, D.R. Horton. Like Ms. Dem, I say that we're extremely grateful to working with staff on this, particularly post-village, to craft some of the stipulations related to circulation, to restrictions in building height, the water conservation, as well as the additional traffic infrastructure, to make sure that we are, as council member Ansari noted, growing smartly and making sure that this development is sustainable for the long term.
Wonderful, thank you. And while I have you, could you speak to what you are doing in response to our Tier 1 shortage?
I don't have the exact language in front of me. I would defer back to Mr. Bednarik for that because it is a fairly lengthy list of items. In fact, I think it more or less mirrors what the Verdan subdivision is doing. And that was something we discussed leading into this hearing.
Wonderful, thank you. And do you know if Ms. Healy would like to speak?
Mayor Gallego, that was really just in case any questions came up about the multifamily portion of this development.
Any questions? All right, we will then close the public hearing. Thank you for everyone who has worked on it. I want to note that should this pass, if you look in totality at today's council meeting, the agendized items will enable the construction of 6,772 total units of residential housing. Councilman Waring.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for item 165. A motion to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related resolution.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark. Waring.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
166.
Motion to approve for the June 29th memo from the Planning and Development Deputy Director with a deletion of stipulation number 15 and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
Comments? Roll call.
Ansari.
Yes.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark. Waring.
Mayor, briefly explain my vote. So this project did not take 4 years or anything like it, but it was not without its share of citizens who had issues. So I do appreciate the developer working on this. Also appreciate them and what they did with water, following in the lead of Taylor Morrison. Appreciate that very much, and I think that's why you have a case today with nobody speaking against it. That would not have been the case, no pun intended, even a few short weeks ago. Thank you. I vote yes.
Pastor. Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
Thank you. That concludes District 2 Day at the Phoenix City Council. We will now go to the final portion of our meeting, public comment, and I will turn to our city attorney to introduce this portion.
Thank you, Mayor. During citizen comment, members of the public may address the City Council for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The citizen comment session is limited to 30 minutes. The Arizona Open Meeting Law permits the City Council to listen to the comments, but prohibits council members from discussing or acting on the matters presented.
Thank you so much. We will begin with in-person, and we'll begin with Eric Nelson, and who has requested an accommodation to have staff read the comment. So that is what we will do.
Thank you, Mayor. I will now read Mr. Nielsen's statement. My name is Eric. I come to you today with heavy heart. I'd like to tell you about a friend I made once when I lived on 15th Ave in Denton. He was a bit taller than me, a bit younger, a bit more attractive. I don't make eye contact with people very often. This is because I learned at a young age from looking into the eyes of the greatest generation, a group of some of the most gallant gentlemen you could ever meet, and I could tell pretty quickly what the eyes of a man who has seen what war looks like when they look back at you. I think about how these groups of men is slowly fading over the horizon. Then I think to my friend, whom I only met twice, and think about how we made eye contact both times. I looked up to that man physically and figuratively. Now I can only feel with sorrow and trepidation as, for the time being, he can only look up to me. I think about how much I've grown myself since I was 22. I think about how my friend had his whole life ahead of him. I think about how some people who lose limbs aren't strong enough to ever get out of the chair. I think about him almost every day. My friend's name is Tyler Moldovan. Try saying his name. People at this last city council meeting should be so humbled that a man That young and brave would give everything he had in front of him so you could disrespect him. In this country, you have that right. As for the time we have left, I'd like to use mine to observe a moment of silence out of respect to him and those like him who guarantee our way of life.
Thank you. We will now go to the online comments. We'll begin with Justin Williams, followed by John Forsyth.
Mayor, could you please repeat the names?
I'm sorry, Williams first. I think Justin Williams. Oh, okay. Justin? Justin? You are unmuted. All right, I am unable to hear Justin, so then I think we'll go to our next, which is John, followed by Faith Kearns.
John, are you able to hear us? We are unable to hear John.
Okay. Shall we try Faith then?
I'm here.
Faith, we can hear you. The floor is yours.
Yeah. My name is Faith Kearns. I'm with Fund for Empowerment. And I'm wondering if the petition we sent in regardless the status of the anti-capping provision. Just trying to figure out if you're going to answer our questions. Thank you.
I'm with Senator Jeff Barton.
Thank you, Faith. We'll next go to Steve Schumacher, followed by Jeremy Thacker.
Oh, there I am. Okay, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Good day to you all. I just want to share a little bit of data with all of you for a minute as we embark upon a new bond program. In 1989, the City of Phoenix and taxpayers allotted $15 million for historic preservation. Several years later, in 2001, $14.2 million was allotted for historic preservation. And in 2006, an additional $13.1 million was allotted for historic preservation. So over the course of 3 different bond programs over those years, there was a total of roughly $43 million expended by the city, put forward by taxpayers and so forth for historic preservation. Now, over that same period of time, one of the metrics of historic preservation effectiveness is how many old buildings are preserved. The sad reality is that before the first bond program was put together, there was 103 buildings in Phoenix that were 1900 or older. And currently, that number is less than half. It's 48. So let me repeat that. Over that period of time, there's been $43 million spent, and pre-1900 buildings have been cut in half. Now, are saving old buildings only part of historic preservation? Absolutely not, but still we're looking for some sort of metric. So as we're embarking upon an additional bond program, $500 million, I don't know what percentage will end up going to historic preservation, But even if it's 1%, that's still $5 million that we currently have no metrics to track how effectively that money is being spent. So I would encourage the council, as you're setting up committees and subcommittees, especially historic preservation, that we take a fresh new look at this. We get some more diversity on the committees. We look at it from a holistic standpoint, not only buildings above ground, but what are we doing to teach our kids, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all I have to say. Just please look for more diversity in the subcommittees that are taking a look at historic preservation so it can be a very vibrant and thriving part of the city as we go forward. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Have a good holiday.
Thank you. Jeremy is next, followed by Frank.
Good afternoon. In February, I submitted 2 citizen petitions, which after being continued in April, were not approved to go to the full council by a vote of 2-2 during the June TIP subcommittee meeting. One petition was regarding the city's current handling of citizen petitions. Today, I'm asking Vice Mayor Pastor and Councilmember Guardado to reiterate their request for this petition to be heard by the full council. Additionally, I'm requesting one other member to request the petition be added to the next formal meeting. Specifically, I'm looking at Councilmember Garcia and DeCiccio. In 2017, Councilmember DeCiccio stated citizen petitions allow people to get past roadblocks, which government is good at and Phoenix is best at. And Councilmember Garcia submitted a citizen petition right before he was a council member. And I'm sure he fully expected that to be heard by the full council and to be acted upon. So today I'd like to request that my citizen petition regarding citizen petition be added to the full council agenda.
Thank you. Frank is next, and our final speaker today will be Elizabeth Venable. Frank, the floor is yours.
Am I on?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Frank Urban. I'm with Fund for Empowerment, and I would like to know if you guys are going to do anything about the petition, answer the questions, and about the campers. What are you doing about the campers and their rights according to the U.S. Constitution? And that's it.
Thank you, Frank. Our final speaker will be Elizabeth.
Basically, this petition is a request for information regarding the status of enforcement on anti-camping provisions, and has there been a cessation of enforcement downtown? Also, has the city stopped disposing of people's personal items? We have got reports from other areas of the city, and the city must stop disposing of people's personal items to not be in violation of Levon v. City of Los Angeles. And I don't believe there's pending litigation yet. So I'd appreciate your answer. Thank you very much. And it was sent to Jeff Barton at 9:06. I'm sorry about the late sending.
Thank you. And we are going to try one more time with Justin. So Justin, we have unmuted you, and could you proceed? And Justin, we cannot hear you.
Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor Pastor. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I wanted to thank you and all the efforts of our committee. I believe we will be speaking about citizens petition at policy in September.
Yes, discussion of citizen petition, I think, is something we can say action happening with, but not more than that. And then I'm understanding that we do have one additional speaker, so Ann Ender. Okay, for those who could not hear, staff in the room had said we do not show Ann Ender, so we are unable to pull that up. So then for our staff, we have no one else waiting. Okay, staff has affirmed we have no one else waiting. We are adjourned. Have a happy 4th of July.
Oh my goodness, it's coming this week.
Mayor Gallego and members of the